Hi toy fans and viewers, this is Toyown here to review a Hasbro Marvel Spider-Man Homecoming Marvel Legends series Spider-Man and Vulture 2-pack. And here's what the 2-pack looks like. It shows Marvel Spider-Man Homecoming. That's Spider-Man. And that's what the Vulture and Spider-Man looks like. And it's Marvel Legends series. It's for 4+. And then it's produced by Hasbro. It shows Spider-Man that you would see from the movie. And of course Spider-Man on the top, Spider-Man on the other side. And here's what it looks like on the back. And it shows the Vulture, Spider-Man. And I got it from Marshall. Now you can find this for $7.99. I got this early on, so I spent $15.99, which I believe is too much for the older toy that it is. And that was the other 2-pack you could get. I think this is like a Target exclusive at one time, because I saw that 2-pack at Target, but I never bought it. And here's what it looks like on the bottom. And in the next clip I'll show you the package in a closer view, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. And here, as you can see, is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series Spider-Man Homecoming action figure 2-pack Vulture and Spider-Man. And of course this is what they look like out of the package, and they're based on that live action film called Marvel Spider-Man Homecoming. Anyhow, I just knocked over the Vulture. Oops. I'll show Spider-Man first. And he has a slender build, as most Spider-Man characters of the newer era do. And it has that typical articulation like a Marvel Legend action figure would have. This is just a smaller version. It's kind of scary to do posability with that, because if you go too rough with it, you can actually tear the joints, so that's one thing to be aware of. And this has kind of a darker blue to it, so it's not completely accurate to the movie. And there's articulation in the ankles. They're really tight. And then there's detail in his wrist, in his hand. Of course, he has a articulation there in his elbow, and it turns. It's similar articulation to like a G.I. Joe action figure, kind of, but a little bit better. And that's the other articulation in the other hand, so it's very similar. And he has kind of that web shooting pose, or like a rocker symbol. Still really cool. So if you wanted to make it look like you had like a prop of a spider web in there, you could. Then you have that Spider-Man symbol, but it's so small it's hard to get that detail. And he has like those photo lens detail in his eyes of the mask. But there's a lot of detail that could be brought out with like dry brush if you want to. I think that's really cool. That detail there. And of course, that's articulation, so if you want to pose him kind of dangling off of something, you can. And just for fun, here's a comparison to the Amazing Spider-Man Super Ultra Posable action figure. Now, at the time when I first started my channel, I wasn't ready to show those type of complicated action figures yet, so that's why I didn't ever show a video of this, or do a review, I mean. But it's very similar in the articulation and the way the placement is on the figure. Except for that, this has better articulation in the arms than this. But this is still kind of my favorite Spider-Man. And it has kind of an ab crunch. Forgot to show that. So that's Spider-Man. And then lastly, you've got the Vulture. The Vulture doesn't have any little turbines here, so that's kind of a bummer, but I'm sure you could kind of fabricate something. And it has this little wing movement action feature. And there's a lot of molding in detail. So it might not be the 6-inch tall Marvel Legend, but it still has a lot of detail to it. And there's a lot of molding in detail there as well. And of course, this part, if you want to store it away, you can pull it off, but I'll just leave it on there. It's really tight. Let's see if I can get it off. It's connected with 2 pins. It's really wedged on there. I might have pressed it all the way on. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it off. But it has articulation in the head all the way around. A lot of nice mold detail. Very similar to the movie, but it's kind of limited on articulation since it just flies for the most part. But it has a lot of articulation if you think about it in comparison to other toys. So it's like a mini version of the 6-inch tall action figure, but limited a little bit. So it has articulation there, and it has might have a little bit of an ankle swivel. So actually the ankle swivel is really good on it. So it has quite a bit of articulation. So you can get some really good poses with it. And so that's the 2-pack action figures. Is it worth spending a lot of money if you find these online? They were, I think they were originally a Target exclusive. I wouldn't spend a lot of money, but if you come across them at a decent price, or you come across them like at a Goodwill or a toy show, I wouldn't spend too much for them. And that's all I really have to say. If you'd like to see more videos, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment down below, and stay tuned for more reviews.